split. No second thoughts. I'm not saying killing a trout is easy, however. The last trout I killed I took from this very spot. Before then I hadn't killed a trout for years, so I was unprepared for the sweet and sickening heat that washes over me whenever I hold that animal in my hands and take its life. Killing is not remembering, not quite forgetting either. I know I have a killing self that is contained by whatever else I am. My body is its camouflage. But some things cannot be hidden. Once the decision has been made, the killing self does not judge or moralize. Impersonal, it steps forward and does what must be done. The dirty work. One would not think that self-awareness could emerge in the throes of such abandon. But I remember moments when I would look up from my work and scan my surroundings. I'm not sure why. I was within my rights to take as many as 3 trout if I had so chosen. Perhaps because I was no longer concealed, I was afraid of what someone watching me would see. The ancient and artless me. Me hunched over this animal, grunting and cursing as I broke its head on a rock 3 or 4 times, once for each wave of nerves. Once was enough, of course, but I panicked. When the trout finally stilled, I laid him in a small pool someone had built with a ring of rocks, and I tried to calm down. My hands felt plump with blood and were glistening with trout sheen and river water. I stood there beneath the rain-black clouds, a mindless and sweat-soaked killer. A swirl of yellow line uncurls across the water and returns me to the here and now. I walk a few feet down the bank and call to Metcalf, "How you doing?" The question hadn't left my mouth, and I was cursing myself for not asking a better one. When Metcalf's line reaches the bottom of the run, he rolls it to the top with the flick of his wrist, mends it, and calls back, "I'm coming up." I nod and take a seat on the bank. "Serve you right," I say to myself. Next time you see a burning house, why not just ask the man standing in the middle of it how he's doing? I shake my head and spit in the water. A couple feet away from me, the Jesus bugs have congregated around a moth that has fallen into the water. They seem to avoid the wings and instead focus on the supple abdomen. Above me, a pair of warbling vireos hump the leaves for insects, and cancer cells wrap the bloodstreams of the body. Eventually, they haul out and grow like black grass along the banks. The rain stops, and in the ensuing quiet, I imagine rising high into the stratosphere, where I settle in for a good long listen to the earth. I close my eyes, and I hear what I suspect is the far-off sound of burning. But deep down, I know fire makes us all fools. What I'm really hearing is the sound of chewing. I can't stand deception. It's hard, though, because I want to say something useful to Metcalf. I want to reassure him in some absolute way, but I can't make any promises. So instead, I pat him on the back. I note the thickness of his skin and muscle. Despite the chemo, there's still a lot to him. He doesn't look like someone with cancer. The rain is falling again, but I can still feel the sun. I look at Metcalf, and the sun is on his face. "It's good to be here with you," I tell him. He drinks some water. "You too, man. This is a beautiful place." He tips his bottle of water in a kind of toast. "Trout live in beautiful places." I raise my water. "Cheers. What happened down there?" Metcalf looks downriver and then back at me. "What didn't happen down there?" He laughs. I laugh too, because Metcalf has a silly grin on his face. Despite our 20-year age difference, had we grown up together as children, I am certain we would have palled around. "Touch any fish?" he asks, taking out a sandwich. "I just put back an 18-incher I coaxed out of there," I say, nodding toward the trough. Metcalf was about to respond when a train approached from up the canyon. The tracks are just across the river, maybe 50 feet away. I could just barely make out the dark outline of the engineer before the train sped past. The train gone, Metcalf looks at the trough and smiles. The trout are right where they should be. When it comes to fly fishing, or anything else for that matter, Metcalf is not the kind of guy I like to contradict. But claims of what should be make me uncomfortable. Maybe so, I muse, but sometimes they are where they should not be. I don't believe a word I just said, of course. Trout are where they are. Whether they should be there or not is sort of beside the point. Metcalf doesn't miss a beat. They're a real smart ass, you know that? I'm a little embarrassed, but I muster. I guess that's better than the alternative. Metcalf smiles and shakes his head. Then he takes a bite of his sandwich and closes his eyes. I know this is a private moment, but I don't turn away. Instead, I note the calmness of Metcalf's face, the neatly trimmed beard, and nostrils expanding and relaxing. And outside both our lives, the river and the day go by. He chews slowly, lovingly, his jaws working as he enjoys the richness of the flavors, perhaps remembering the slow burn of the moment, savoring its sweetness, bitterness, and everything else it is while it lasts.
Wow.
Thank you very much.